welcome to Brothers-In-Flaw Sports. I'm your host, Normie. This is our other host, Cunyato. So, how you doing this morning, Cunyato?
I'm doing all right, Normie. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. After our last episode with Phoenix Animation, I've actually watched a couple hockey games. I watched a replay of the Islanders and Penguins that played Thursday night, and that was a pretty good game. The Penguins actually tied the game out with like 18 seconds left, and then they ended up winning in a shootout. And then last night I watched it was the Coyotes and the Blues, and that was a fun game as well. There was a huge difference between those though. Like the Islanders game, yeah, they were kind of hitting and everything, but there was more fast pace. That Coyotes game, holy crap, they were knocking the hell out of each other up and down the ice. So both of them were very entertaining for kind of different reasons.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. Have you picked a favorite team, or are you just an absorber of the whole league right now?
I haven't really picked a favorite team yet. I was kind of thinking Buffalo because my mom's side of the family, a lot of them are from Buffalo and they root for Buffalo. But also, I don't want to, start rooting for the equivalent of the Jets in the NHL.
I feel like I might have saddled myself with that with the Predators because they were making a deep playoff run, kind of a Cinderella story, and the Jets did that, back in the day with Rex Ryan and Sanchez. Mark Sanchez went to 2 AFC Championship games. And I feel like after what's happening right now, maybe I might have knee-jerked a little bit on going for the Preds, but it's a little bit local, and Preds for life. I'm saddled with them now. I've already decided. I'll bring my catfish stuffed down my pant leg to throw on the ice.
Speaking of catfish, I remember the name of the local Huntsville team, and it was the Channel Cats, and their mascot was a catfish.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the Tennessee River is full of catfish, and that was their mascot.
Well, that makes sense why they do the catfish on the ice for the Predators then.
So we got Phoenix Animation in the chat. I'd sent a chat out that said you were having some internet difficulties, and it said when you do a stream so early, the internet doesn't want to even wake up.
That is absolutely true. The computer was already struggling, and then the internet just said no.
Yep. Well, all right. Well, hopefully I can. I'm gonna watch a lot more games and kind of figure out who kind of like. I don't want to just watch 2 games with 4 teams and then say, okay, well, I like one of those.
Dude, I like one of 100%. So, and I'm lagging on that so far. I need to get my hockey in. Get my hockey fix here soon. But I have not since our webcast, but definitely still plan on doing it. Got ESPN Plus yesterday.
Yeah, so. That's how I was watching mine. I got ESPN Plus, and it's they have a game on at least one a night, and sometimes they have 2.
Well, yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a really good way to watch, a variety of games too.
Yeah. But all right. So let's get to the topic of the or actually before I do want to mention we are having a March Madness bracket challenge. Down below, it is in the description. There is the video that tells you everything you need to know on how to sign up for that. So after the stream or after you watch the replay, look at that description, and it's a chance to win a $50 Amazon gift card. I mean, it's all it is filling out a bracket. And
that's free money, guys.
Exactly. So check that out. And then now we will move on to the topic of our Sportscast, and that is a recap of the Super Bowl. So Tampa Bay ends up winning 31-9, and a lot of people. I mean, I picked Tampa Bay to win, but I didn't think they would win like that.
Yeah, I did a kind of a quick list of where we were wrong and where we were right from our Super Bowl preview show. Where I was wrong the biggest was I was super excited about the game, and I said, no matter what, I think that this one is going to be a classic, and this is going to be electric. It was not. It was an absolute snoozer.
Yeah.
Uh, it was Tampa Bay just handled the Chiefs the whole game. Uh, Now, where we were right, you said a key to victory for Tampa Bay was establishing the run game. We both mentioned that we thought that it was going to be Ronald Jones. A little bit
Yep.
off there. It was definitely Leonard Fournette running very hard, very strong. And we also both said that the offensive line being depleted for Kansas City might expose them a little bit, but that we didn't think that their offense would slow down that much. We were wrong there. Their offense slowed completely down.
Yeah.
It was just completely stagnant, and we both touted the defensive front for Tampa Bay, and man, those 7 guys really deserve the MVP.
They did. I mean, they were all over the place, and they were getting after it. I mean, they looked like just like they were still in high school and getting after the ball no matter what. I mean, you could tell they really wanted that ring and they really wanted that win.
Absolutely, it was a swarm. I mean,
Yeah.
years to the football, like the fact that Patrick Mahomes wasn't sacked every play is a testament to how good he is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I mean, you got so they had 3 sacks total. They only had 3 sacks. And if you watch the game, like it seemed like they had a crap ton more. But 10 quarterback hits on a quarterback that was already hurting. I mean, you could tell. I do have to give it to Patrick Mahomes. You could tell he was not 100%.
no,
And I think they
start
downplayed
to
those.
finish. Like
Yeah, they
he was getting
downplayed.
worse.
Yeah, they downplayed those injuries. I think a lot because even at the beginning, he still didn't. I mean, he had those rushes and stuff, but those were kind of gimmies. It looked like Tampa Bay was like, you can get those. We don't care. We're not going to give up a big pass or things like that. But yeah, as he constantly kept getting hit, it just got worse.
Well, and when I say worse, I mean like the body disposition and everything. His play still. I mean, it was late in the fourth quarter when he is throwing the ball just parallel with the ground, hovering off of it like a damn magician, and launches that thing 30 feet to hit 30 yards to hit Darrell Williams right in the face mask in the end zone.
Yeah, there was a funny video. It was some TikTok video, but it was Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, and then he's the guy's going back, and this defensive line just starts hitting the shit out of him and bringing him down, and so he throws it, and then they got this picture of this guy that's like running, and the ball hits him in the helmet. He's running, and he's looking like, what?
I mean, honestly, some of the stories of the game, I didn't really notice it watching it. I think because I had my Super Bowl hype on, and also I try not to pay attention to the referees or make excuses. But the officiating was terrible, especially in the first half. They made that game about them. There was about 3 ghost calls on Kansas City that really kind of changed the momentum of the game.
Yeah.
And then the drops. Travis Kelce had 2 big drops. Tyreek Hill had a drop or 2. Really weird stuff, man. I don't buy into the conspiracy theory that the NFL is fixed. It actually seems to be a pretty organic and free-flowing sport. But if there's a year where it looked a little fixed.
I don't know. I did notice some of those phantom calls. I still don't think it really played that much into the outcome.
I actually agree. The Buccaneers look like the better team.
Because if you think about it, even if, say, Kansas City scores touchdowns on those 3 field goals, they still lose.
Yeah.
And then you got the 1 yard short before halftime for Tampa Bay, going for it on fourth down. So the score could have actually been a lot worse than what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
So it's one of those things where it was like, yeah, there were some of those. I don't think you could totally blame that on. I think the 10 quarterback hits
What
and
the the quarterback pressures, I think that they pressured Patrick Mahomes 29 times, and then the Chiefs pressured Tom Brady 4 times, which is
yeah,
the biggest discrepancy in quarterback pressures, not in Super Bowl history, but in history since they've started recording that stat, which I think is only since like 2007 or 2008. It's not a ton of data, but still, a decade plus. And that's the biggest discrepancy of quarterback pressures in the history since recording that stat. And it showed up. Like,
yeah.
Tom Brady looked relaxed and composed and got to do his greatest of all time stuff. And Patrick Mahomes looked harassed and distressed.
Yeah. And the biggest thing too, though, is that Kansas City did have one sack, but that after that one sack was like right when Tampa Bay started hitting their stride. It was like, okay, we're finally all the nerves are out after this. This is as worse as it can get. Now let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Like because on the Super Bowl watch, Chase was like, "Yeah, Brady hates getting sacked. He hates getting hit. So now he's gonna light a fire up under him." But like,
Well,
yeah, after that sack, I mean, it was like he was like walking in a park. He never had pressure. I mean, I'm sure he got hit another time, but he really didn't struggle and didn't have to worry about that.
I
He
mean,
wasn't running for his life the whole game.
no. If you watch the first two series, like for each team, 4 series total, first two possessions for each team, that game looked like it was going to be close.
Mm-hmm.
And like you were talking about, Patrick Mahomes had a couple of scrambles when everything was tightened up downfield. Kansas City was still getting pressure on Tom Brady, and I guess it's coaching. I think it's a lot to do with the Tom Brady factor and his intangibles and leadership that he brings. But one team kind of crumbled,
Yeah.
and the other got stronger.
Well, and another part of that too is, I mean, you look at that. I have never, and I've watched all of the Super Bowls with Tom Brady. I've watched a lot of Tom Brady, and I've never seen Tom Brady act like that. I mean, it seems like Matthew was trying to get him riled up and trying to kind of rattle his cage and get him out of his game.
Mm-hmm.
And he made a huge mistake because it seemed to do the exact opposite.
Yeah, I read a story, and I don't know how accurate it is, but Tom Brady threw one down the middle, and Matthew deflects it, or maybe it goes over the head of the receiver. I don't know. But then he comes back up and is like, "You're not throwing a touchdown on me." And then a few plays later, Tom Brady throws a touchdown on Tyrann Mathieu, and then runs across the field. The camera did not catch that because you see Tyrann Mathieu get the 15-yard penalty for chirping back at Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But what apparently was not captured, not broadcast, was Tom Brady ran to go get in his face. I was like, all right, motherfucker, like, I'm not going to throw a touchdown on you.
Yeah, but I have never seen him like that. That was
he was jazzed, man. He was energetic. I mean,
well,
40
it was
years old. We need to actually revel a little bit in what he has done by winning his 7th, man. Like,
yeah. I mean, that is 7 Super Bowls, 2 of them in his 40s alone?
Yep.
I mean, that is absolutely amazing. I don't think that's going to happen again. I don't see it. Because who else right now? I mean, Aaron Rodgers maybe, but I mean, he's 38 and he's only won one of them.
Yeah, he's only got the one ring, and I've said throughout Tom Brady's career, I don't think that he's ever been the most talented quarterback ever. Like, in his entire playing career, he's never been the most physically gifted quarterback on any given year. but he brings something else to the table. I did not think I did not think that when he went to Tampa Bay that he would take them to the Super Bowl. I was like, okay, well, that makes Tampa Bay better. That makes them a contender. They will probably be a borderline playoff team. And then he drags their asses kicking and screaming.
Yep. Well, the thing with Tom Brady, like you said, he never has seemed that, physical guy. But, it's like coaches in sports always used to tell you. I know every day in football, it was, football's 90% mental, 10% physical.
Yeah, sure enough, man.
And mental-wise, I mean, Tom Brady, he has got it down. And
apparently he's texting the other 52 players on the roster every single day for the 2 weeks building up to the Super Bowl. Hey, we're going to go win this thing. Hey, we're gonna, like individually texting them, not like a big group text message.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's his dedication to winning is insane.
It really is. And I I like you. I thought they may make it to the playoffs. But preseason and then after that first game where they lost to the Saints, I thought, okay, this is going to be like a typical Tampa Bay team. They'll beat some teams they're not supposed to, but other than that, they're just going to slide through the season and be that normal team from that NFC South team that everybody kind of whips up on. But
maybe finish with around about a 500 record, maybe 7-9, maybe 9-7, and it really looked like they were heading in that direction before I think 7-5 start, and then or 7-4 start, 7-4 start, 12-4 finish.
I think they were 11-5.
11-5. Okay.
Yeah. Because they those last games they lost one. That was that Week 12 Kansas City game.
That's right.
And that was all they lost in that last kind of stretch. So they tightened up, put it together.
Yeah.
And honestly, they peaked at the right time. That's as far as NFL. That's when you want to start peaking.
Well, and another MVP, I would say Todd Bowles, their defensive coordinator. Since Week 12 and just getting shellacked in the first half against Kansas City.
Yep.
Really locked it down, made a whole bunch of defensive adjustments in the second half, made it an actual game, which is crazy to go down 17-0 and allow a receiver 200 yards in the first quarter and then be able to close that gap to 27-24 finish and like a ball in hand final drive type moment. And then from that game on, that defense played lights out. I mean, you shut down Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, and Patrick Mahomes. All three of those are future Hall of Famers.
Yep. Now, the Patrick Mahomes one, they did have some help. I mean,
oh, yeah.
I mean, like I said, not 100%. Also, I mean, you had basically what is a matador at tackle on both sides.
Yeah, those backup tackles, you could tell that they were backups.
Yeah.
They looked harassed. They looked lost. They looked out of place. I actually felt bad for them. I didn't feel as bad for them as I felt for Patrick Mahomes, who's actually, taking the beating for them not good at their job.
Because it just seemed throughout the game. I mean, either they were getting beat or they were holding because they were getting beat.
Mm-hmm. They looked lost, like just absolutely dazed and confused. And somebody who didn't really show up on the stat sheet as far as somebody who's harassing the interior, Vita Vea was taking on 2 and 3 guys damn near every play. I think he only had 1 tackle throughout the game, but if you watch that game, he was creating the plays on the edges. And then Devin White, another guy, speaking about MVPs, 12 tackles, I think 8 of them solo, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 pass deflections. It's not a crazy stat day, but it is incredibly solid, and he was everywhere. That guy flies to the football. He is – I don't know. I would say right now that he's at least a top 3 middle linebacker in the league.
Yeah.
He's a star.
And it seemed like every play he was in there
Mhm.
in the middle of it, and he was running sideline to sideline, and he was getting it done.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
his stat line, it proves it. He was getting it done. That's what you want from your middle linebacker.
Then Levante David was great. That whole Tampa D, they I like their strategy to play two like real high safeties and completely take away Tyreek Hill. It's like you're not going to beat
Yep.
us with Tyreek Hill. Period.
Yeah, because Tyreek Hill, he had 7 catches, but only 73 yards.
Well, and then a
And
lot of those came late too.
yeah, a lot of that was in garbage time.
Yeah.
And they it seemed like they were willing to sacrifice that pass to Travis Kelce, that kind of, those 5 and 10 yard passes to him all game, because he finished with 10 receptions and 133 yards. And it seemed like he was the only one that was even remotely getting open. And I think that was part of their plan. Just, okay, we'll let you have that small one. You're not going to beat us deep on something with Tyreek Hill.
And we talked about in our preview that that was an offense not predicated on trick plays, but explosion and keeping people off balance. And I think that they bought into that too much, because Clyde Edwards-Helaire rushed 9 times for 63 yards, a 7-yard average.
Yep.
They were not giving him the ball enough, and he was being very effective. Like, if your quarterback is getting harassed like that, the screen game was completely taken away because Levante David and Devin White are way too fast. Oh,
Yep.
and not, to mention Pierre Paul and Shaq Barrett. Their edge guys are they're too instinctive. They completely shut that down, but you can still run the ball, and they were running it right up the middle.
Yeah.
At 7 yards a clip, and only did it 9 times.
Yeah. I think they got because I was going to talk about that, because I did see that too. I think they got a little frazzled, and especially because and they weren't capitalizing on those drives, or because it seemed like they'd get like a 10 yards, they get a first down, and then the next play they were getting sacked, or the next play Patrick Mahomes was running back 20 yards and then just tossing it up in the air.
Yeah.
So I think, and then once Tampa Bay got the ball back, they were scoring, and I think they got frazzled and had to kind of get away from that run game. I think they should have stuck with it. I mean, you're still getting, like you said, 7 yards of carry. I mean, yeah, had he carried it more, it probably wouldn't have been as much, but still, he was doing what he needed to do.
Well, I have now watched 4 Super Bowls. The Rams versus the Patriots, the Niners versus the Chiefs, the Falcons versus the Patriots, and the Seahawks versus the Patriots, where just, hand the damn ball off.
Yeah.
Like, just run it. I mean, don't think too hard about something simple. If this cat is getting you 0.7 of a first down per carry, just let him do that a little bit, especially since every time you're dropping back, your quarterback is running for his life.
Yep.
Yeah, it seemed like they abandoned it too early, but I agree. It looked like they were frazzled, and then they felt like they needed to press. But Andy Reid calling those timeouts before halftime, they get the ball back at half, and they were only down 14
to 6.
14 to 6. So you can tie it up after half there. I mean, a touchdown, a 2-point conversion. And I like the aggressiveness. I like to call timeouts and try and put points on the board. If your offense has anything going for it, any kind of but it did not. I like the majority of their yards came after really late in the third quarter, when Tampa Bay started really like backing off and just like, okay, you can have whatever you want underneath.
Yeah.
And we're just going to put you in the chokehold now.
Yep. Um, but if we flip side and go to Tampa Bay's rushing, I mean, they ended up with 145 yards. Uh, Fournette had 89 of those yards and a touchdown, a pretty long touchdown. Jones had 61, but both of them were over 5 yards a carry.
Yeah, they were the Tampa Bay offensive line was blowing up the
Mm-hmm.
Kansas City defense at both levels. I mean, like you said, it seemed like initially there was some push there and a little bit of fire for the Kansas City D, and then Brady got hit and lit a fire underneath their ass. It's like that's not going to happen anymore. And then from that point on, they were just blowing them up. And then Fournette, Jones looked good too. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. Fournette was running like if you put out an arm to try and tackle him, he was putting you in the ground.
he
That I think
he
that
looked
touchdown run.
he finally looked like the Fournette we saw at LSU.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that touchdown run, he drug like five, or not drug, but like broke five tackles. At least five people made contact with him, and it
Yeah.
just did not matter.
I mean, he looked like that Leonard Fournette that was at LSU and was throwing players off of him and getting it in the end zone. And honestly, it looked like he was just having fun.
Yeah,
He finally like was just, hey, I'm gonna go out here and have fun. And I think that was a huge part of that game. And I think, like you said, Brady texted him. I know I heard about, especially Fournette talking about that, about, hey, Brady's been texting me just one-on-one saying, we're going to do this. We're going to be good. And honestly, I think that helped a lot, just mental wise, because you could tell it on the field. He was just right back into that true form. It wasn't just this, getting into this rut, because I know a lot of football teams you can get in that rut and just, all right, well, let's go do this. We're gonna go here, we're gonna rush it, we're gonna run, we're gonna run zone right and whatever, and I'm gonna get what I can. No, he was out there and he was having the time of his life. It seemed like.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I 100% agree. He looked different. He looked collegiate back in old form, the way that he was running. And then after every play, after a tackle or even if he was just blocking, like nodding his head and smile on his face,
Yep.
like that kind of just embodies all of Tampa Bay. One of the things I did get right, a player to watch, Gronkowski, who had been
Yep.
quiet the whole playoffs, and then he explodes for two tutties. I mean, I don't know, man. When it was time to show up for like the big one, Tom Brady can electrify a team more than anybody else. More than anybody else. I think that it's not time to talk about the greatest football player of all time. I think he's done that now. Now it's time to talk about the greatest professional athlete of all time.
Yeah. I think so. I mean, that after what he was able to do, and honestly, he only had 201 yards of passing.
Yeah, he
but
didn't.
He made them count. I
Yeah.
mean, and he was 21 of 29, and that is, in the NFL, that is a damn good stat. I mean, you only have 8 incompletions in a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, only having 8 incompletions in a regular NFL game is damn good.
Yeah.
But in the Super Bowl, I think you're right. We gotta start talking about, is he the best player in any sport?
I mean, yeah, like I don't think you can compare him to football players anymore because there's really nobody with his resume in that sport. There's nobody with his accolades and his accomplishments, and his numbers are incredible. I mean, he has records that probably won't be broken in either one of our lifetimes outside of the championship stuff, like actual like yardage and touchdowns and stuff like that people would have to play until they're 43 to break.
Yeah.
But take all that away, just his intangibles are off the charts. Like we were talking about, we thought that he would go to Tampa Bay and it would make them a borderline playoff team. No, he goes to Tampa Bay and he brings home a championship that year.
Yep.
I thought that would have been the longest shot when he made that move. I was like, yeah, they have a lot of weapons. They have a pretty solid defense, but I mean, Tom Brady he's a good quarterback right now, not a great quarterback, and well, he just proved me completely wrong. He's the best that's ever done it, and
Yep.
not by a little, by a lot.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And thing is, he has started something new in the NFL of these better quarterbacks going to different teams now. Like teams, like with Matthew Stafford. Yeah, Tom Brady has this big year, gets in the Super Bowl, and then Matthew Stafford's finally like, you know what? I'm ready to go. I'm sorry. I loved being in Detroit, but I want to win.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll say that we've got a couple of hot takes coming up, folks, but I don't have one for Stafford. But I thought about it. I steered clear of it because I don't want to curse my Rams. But yeah, that whole having to stay on one team and just play it out and play by the rules, I guess. That's basketball kind of started it. Baseball's been about it. And then, Brady kind of kicked the door open for quarterbacks this year. Yeah, I want to go win.
Yeah. And, you look at even other players are doing it. I mean, Watt in Houston, he's begging for them to just release him. He's done. He wants to go to a team.
They released him.
Yeah, and he same thing. Hey, I loved being in Houston. I loved this, but I want to go to a team that's going to compete and win.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be one of those things to watch. Who ends up getting him? That's
big time. I'm pulling for him to be a Steeler because then all three Watt brothers are the same thing. I think that would be pretty cool.
I think it would be. Would it be the first time there's been three siblings on the same team?
I'm not enough of a football historian to say for sure, but that seems highly likely that it would be the first time.
Yep. All right. Yeah. And then I guess we can kind of go to receiving wise. We talked about Tampa Bay. I mean, Mahomes didn't have he had, I didn't write down the yards. I think it was 246 yards passing. Kelsey had 133 of those, but they did get it out to 8 different receivers. I mean, Tampa Bay only got it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. And Kansas City was pretty good at, shutting down, Mike Evans and Godwin. I mean, Mike Evans had only 1 reception. Now it was a huge reception of 31 yards.
Yeah.
But they kept him just to the 1, and Godwin only had 2 receptions for 9 yards.
Yeah, they really closed out on their top 2 weapons. I only put that in air quotes because this season Mike Evans' stats have been down comparatively to what they have been with Jameis Winston in his previous years. But, sidebar on that, Mike Evans has approached the front office in Tampa Bay twice to restructure his contract to take less money so that they can afford to bring back this team intact. Yeah. And I think that that's really cool. We were talking about the Tom Brady, that winning mentality, him taking the hometown discount time and time and time again with the Patriots. And Mike Evans, I don't know. I don't know if it's Tom Brady effect or if he's already done it. I think that I heard that he's already done that in the past as well, even with Jameis Winston. Like he can take less money. He wants to win.
Yeah.
I think that also means he doesn't mind only getting one catch for 31 yards. Like he'll run his routes as hard, whether the ball is coming to him or not. He's going to block on the outside, this, that, or the other. I think Godwin embraced that as well. But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, the Chiefs did a pretty good job of containing those two guys, but then that let Gronkowski and Antonio Brown and some of the other guys get loose.
Because, and kind of with the Mike Evans thing, yeah, he had better stats with Winston, but you got to think about it too. Tampa Bay was the whipping post of the NFC South.
Yeah.
A lot of those games, they were behind by 21 points, and it was a lot of garbage time of defenses backing up, just saying, okay, we're going to stop you from scoring.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I think that has to go into consideration as well. Whereas, this year it's okay, we've got to stay on them the entire game. There's no, okay, we're backing off because we're beating the just crap out of them. And also Tom Brady going out saying, get Antonio Brown.
Mm-hmm.
That paid off a lot. I mean, he had 5 catches for 22 yards, but one of those was a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, that, I think, and then throughout the year, I mean, Antonio Brown has been that kind of third guy, and it's crazy to think about that, of Antonio Brown being a third guy after all those years in Pittsburgh. I mean, that is just amazing, and a testament of this team of, hey, remember that guy that was drafted pretty much number 1 in all the fantasy football leagues, things like that, and now he is a third guy on Tampa Bay.
Yeah, he's an outlet and not a go-to. And at the height of his career, he probably had 2 or 3, maybe even 4 seasons strung together to where he was arguably the best receiver in the league. And once again, I can't say it enough, man. That's that Tom Brady factor. He got to Tampa Bay. They retained Cameron Brate and O.J. Howard, which they thought both of those were up in the air. I believe both of them were free agents. Godwin and Evans were still under contract as far as those 2 receivers. But then he gets there and then pulls Gronk out of retirement. And midway through the season, like, hey, I really want Antonio Brown. And then Bruce Arians is like, I don't want him. He doesn't fit. He's not, he's not a good fit for our culture. And then Brady's like, hey, Bruce, I have 6 of these.
Yeah.
I want 7. So shut your face and let me do what I'm going to do.
Shove another hamburger in that face and shut it. These will speak for themselves. My 6 friends here think the opposite. No, they ended up getting him. He helped him out kind of throughout the year and ends up getting a touchdown in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, was a good thing for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And hopefully, if they can keep this roster, I think they'll be pretty set next year. Especially if Fournette keeps running like he, finally goes out there, starts having fun again, like he showed in that game. I think they're pretty set up for next year.
It does seem like they're here to stay for a little while, which is absolutely crazy because the whole season, including up until the NFC Championship, I thought that was just a decent team, not a great team. And I don't think they are your odds-on favorite to win next year. I actually think it's the Chiefs, based on Vegas's release. And if the Chiefs get healthy, I mean, that'll be a big deal. I mean, 2 starting tackles, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
But No, Tampa Bay is right in the mix. I think they're 2 or 3, and they should be. If they can maintain that roster the way that it is and play the way that they did down the stretch, it kind of seemed like a whole bunch of new pieces and moving pieces had to come together and fit together in the right way, and they found that step and they did it. And now that they've done it, I don't know why they would lose it if they can, like I said, retain the core of that group. Yeah, they're going to be dangerous. And also Tom Brady, he is an ageless wonder.
Yeah, he is. And he didn't look like he was in his 40s.
And there were some games early on in the season when they started to go 7-5, where I thought, a little bit of that Drew Brees factor that we saw also this year, where his arm didn't look as good. And then I went and rewatched just some old Tom Brady stuff. No, he's never just had that good of an arm. I mean, he can make throws that he needs to, and he makes them when he needs to.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't an age thing. That was he's not the most talented guy on the field. He's just the best.
Yeah. And like in the NFC Championship game where, he comes out after halftime and throws 3 picks.
Yep.
I know he's done that stuff like that before in the past. He gets into that kind of slump, but he ends up coming back and, winning it in the end. So Kansas City wise, I think, like you said, once they get healthy next year, they're going to be back to true form. I know Patrick Mahomes did have surgery on his toe. And if they can just get those tackles back and things, I think they'll be back to where they were next year as well. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, the AFC, well, you got the Bills and you got the Ravens. Both of those teams don't look like they're really going anywhere. In fact, probably getting better. I think the Ravens actually have a lot of cap space. In fact, maybe a landing destination for JJ I've seen. And then Josh Allen is just improving. But I would still say that the Chiefs are the strongest team, especially if they can get healthy. I mean, I don't think they're going anywhere. And like I said, I think that they're still your odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl next year. But I think the road's just getting more difficult.
Yeah, teams are catching up.
Yeah,
it's not like it was a couple years ago, where they cruised into the AFC Championship, lost to New England, and then last year cruised into the Super Bowl. Did have to come back to win that Super Bowl. I think a lot of people kind of forget about that. I do a lot. I just think they cruised through that Super Bowl, but I end up forgetting, they actually had to come back to win in that one.
Well, they had to come back to win in the Super Bowl. They had to come back and win against the Titans, and they had to come back and win against the Texans.
Yeah.
They were on life support 3 different times last year to win that Super Bowl. And it really took other teams making mistakes for them to win it.
Yeah. I still to this day don't see how Houston did not win that game.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
I mean, that I do not understand that. I mean, 28 points or 24 or something.
I think at one point the score was 28 to 7, 24 to 3. You know what? I don't know.
Yeah, it was a lot.
A lot to a little. I mean,
yeah,
reminiscent of the Patriots-Falcons Super Bowl. Like, okay, now the score is so out of reach that this shouldn't be possible. But then I think the Chiefs started their charge in the second quarter, not the second half. And once the momentum started to build, it was like, well, shit.
Yeah.
How did you let these guys back in this one?
Yep. But just comparing like the NFC, AFC, I mean, NFC, you've got a lot of older, more experienced quarterbacks. Whereas AFC, you got a lot of up and comers. I think with the AFC, it's just how are these going to pan out? Is Josh Allen going to be able to come back and have a solid, follow-up season to what they did this year? Or, is Lamar Jackson going to be able to get back to his true form that he did in that MVP year? Is Patrick Mahomes going to just kind of shake this one off, get back to work, and do what they did?
Yeah, you're right. I hadn't really thought about that, but the AFC, their top teams are all run by young quarterbacks, and then not to mention Herbert with the Chargers, not a top team, but
Yeah,
he looked excellent this year. They're
and then you got Kyler Murray in Arizona. If Deshaun stays in Houston, you have him in Houston.
Well, Kyler Murray's in the NFC West.
Oh, that's right.
Is the most exciting division in football next year. But yeah, as far as the AFC goes, I can't really think of a vet other than maybe Ben Roethlisberger, who is the contender in the AFC right now.
And then because and then you have Baker Mayfield at the Browns. He's still a young guy. With Joe Burrow coming back for the Bengals,
which I'm really excited about. Like, I really hope that they can put some protection around him.
Yes,
because between him and Herbert, they showed flashes of like real greatness throughout the season. And also Joe Burrow can take a beating.
Yeah.
I watched him get just slammed to the ground time and time again before he finally like actually could not play anymore and just get up and keep playing. It was wild.
I think
his respect for him.
I think his biggest thing is, well, I mean, it is for a lot of young QBs that go into the NFL. It's you can't take these hits like you did in college.
That's true. That's 100% true.
You got to learn to like, okay, we're going to throw that ball away. Like Mahomes was doing, he wasn't going to take those hits. He was going to do everything he could to scramble out and throw that ball away.
Yeah.
And I think with Joe Burrow, I know he did talk about it before he ended up getting hurt about, like he got a big hit one time and then the ref was like, dude, you need to, you all right? You're gonna have to learn to throw that ball away.
Yeah.
And I think with him and it's just, hey, live to play another down.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go up, you want to go back there to get it back under center, not being hauled off by the golf cart.
That's not how you want to leave the field. And I think you're 100% right. That's a lesson he has to learn, because there was time. There were a lot of times where it looked like he was trying to just extend the play to make something happen, where there was just nothing happening, and take big hits for it.
And also you got to remember, in the NFL, usually if something's not open, they're more than likely they're not going to get open again. Whereas in college, you can run around for a little while and you got enough talent and that you could throw that ball off. And Tua was the same way. It seemed like he wanted to hold that ball a little long, where it was like, you're not at Alabama anymore. You don't have the top 3-4 wide receivers in the country on your team.
Of the top 3 rookie quarterbacks that went and played this year, Herbert, Burrow, and Tua. Tua is the one that worries me the most, because he holds on to that ball. Speaking of that, he can get stuck in mud really quickly, and he's incredibly talented, but he does not pull the trigger. And it's like you're saying, like, this is the NFL now. Like, you're not going to see Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs and Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith with 5-6 yards of separation. You're going to see whoever. Now, granted, his weapons in Miami are absolute shit. But, I like Devontae Parker. And then I really can't name you another Miami receiver. But
they have some big tight end, and that's about it.
Yeah, you're throwing to 1 and 2 yard windows, if that. Like, there might be 0 separation, but your job as a quarterback is to let it go. And
especially for Tua, who has already very injury prone. I mean, I watched a lot of him when he was at Alabama. He is very injury prone. Anytime at Alabama he got hit, I mean, we were cringing. And it was like, okay, please get up, get up, get up, get up.
Yeah, he's a little fragile for sure.
And he definitely, out of all of those, he needs to learn to just throw that damn ball away.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take that hit, And I think with experience, all of them will get to that and learn that, hey, you can't score a touchdown every play. And it's, we're not going to run this scramble drill. It's not going to work like it did in college.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when running backs get into the NFL, they think they're going to, or even sometime in the running backs get into college, in high school, they were able, okay, it wasn't on this right side. So I'm going to, run 20 yards deep, run around, and then be able to run around and score.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that in college. You're definitely not going to do it in the NFL.
No, yeah.
Everybody's as fast as you are. So I think it's one of those things like that they just got to learn. Hey, we live to play another down.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess speaking about that, you want to do our hot takes?
Yeah, let's do our preseason, our 2021 hot takes. So you want to go first?
Yeah, I've got one. Okay, so hot take. I think that the Jags are going to draft Trevor Lawrence #1. In the draft, I think that the Jaguars will take Trevor Lawrence #1. That's not a hot take. I'm kidding. The hot take is I think that Trevor Lawrence will win Offensive Rookie of the Year and maybe even be in the conversation for MVP. The Jags have a lot of weapons. Gardner Minshew actually made that offense go at times. Mm-hmm. And Trevor Lawrence is 3 times the talent that Minshew is. And I like Minshew. I really do. I pull for him anytime he's on the field. But Trevor Lawrence.
Mustache man.
Is, yeah, the mustache magic. But Trevor Lawrence is a dude. I mean, he's a talent. Generational. So, anyways, that's my first hot take. I think Trevor Lawrence wins the Offensive Rookie of the Year and competes for the MVP next year.
All right. So, my first hot take, I've got 2 of them. So, my first one is kind of along the same lines as yours. Jacksonville makes the playoffs next year.
That would fit right in with mine, yeah.
You got, with Trevor Lawrence in there at quarterback. He has a stellar rookie season. You got Urban Meyer coming in to coach. He always does great his first couple of years. But a kind of future hot take is they make it to the playoffs next year, but they don't do much after that.
Ooh. All right. Note that one down.
I think it's going to be kind of like a Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly comes in. Eagles do pretty good that first year. After that, they don't do much. I think it's going to be something like that.
And he has not assembled a really stellar staff. It's a little bit underwhelming.
Yep. All right, you got a second hot take?
Okay, my second hot take. It's also quarterback related. Actually, I have 3 hot takes. And the third one, well, we'll get to it when we get to it. My second hot take is also quarterback related. I think that Dak Prescott plays underneath the franchise tag this year and plays his way into being the highest paid quarterback in the league, which isn't really a hot take. But if you look at his numbers before he got injured, he was #1 or #2 in the MVP race for the 2020 season. I think he's only going to get better. Every time you doubt that man, every time you say, Mississippi State running quarterback doesn't have a great arm, doesn't have great accuracy, he just continues to improve, continues to prove you wrong. So I think Dak Prescott will be battling Trevor Lawrence for the MVP for the 2021 season.
All right. So I just came up with a third one as well, but my second one is again, look, we didn't plan these hot takes out, but it kind of along the lines of yours. Uh, my second hot take is the NFC East is not the worst division next year.
Oh, well, between the Washington football team
Yep.
and if Dak Prescott's healthy,
If Dak Prescott's healthy, the Washington football team um, has a stellar defense. If they can keep that defense and get just something on offense, some kind of game manager,
did
on
you see
offense.
that they signed Heineke 2 or 3 days ago? They re-signed him,
Good
and I
because
mean,
that
he was tearing the Super Bowl championship winning team up. I
yeah
mean, Heineke.
yeah a guy that played the XFL last year.
Yep.
And I don't even think he started.
Yeah.
I think the Tamu started over him, the guy from Ole Miss. But he looks good. He's the best thing they've kind of had as far as quarterback wise, and looking remotely anything like somebody that can at least put some points on the board to help their defense out.
Well, then when Alex Smith, the one-leg wonder, came in, they went 5-1.
Yeah.
I mean, they down the stretch, their last 6 games, 5-1, with a guy who played outside of his mind. So proud of him, so happy for Alex Smith. He seems like a really genuine, good dude. Super happy for him. But you could tell he is limited in his mobility. But he still he was enough talent to take them five wins to 1 loss in the last 6 games. So I agree with you, man. If they get the right piece at the helm, I think they are ready to win.
Yeah. So, and then you got the Cowboys, like you said. Dak comes back. I think the Cowboys
that defense, though. That defense is the leakiest, maybe in the NFL.
Well, I think with getting Trayvon Diggs, he showed some flash and showed some progress this year. Of course, him being the only one on that defense, it was pretty tough for him. He did get beat a couple times. I think there mainly was rookie mistakes, but you're being asked to go play defense for the Cowboys in 2020. That's a tough
yes. Yeah, it's a big ask.
Yeah.
Well, in Leighton Vander Esch, I really like him, but his rookie season he looked great, and then last season he looked exposed.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was the pressure or maybe my untrained eye, but they have a lot of holes to fix there. But I've also seen them as a high potential landing spot for J.J. Watt.
There we go. And that would help them out tremendously. You got the Eagles. I'm not on the Jalen Hurts train. I love Jalen Hurts as a person, as a player. I think he is personality and everything wise, he is great. Playing wise, I watched him at Alabama. I know he has a ton of weaknesses in the passing game. I think he does get a little better. I don't think he's the Eagles' answer, but I think he does at least help them along enough to help them in that division as well. And if they can get some kind of other weapon for him. Also with the Giants, they showed a few flashes as well. And what really hurt their season was, Saquon Barkley is their team. Not to rub salt in that wound there. He is their team. I think, him going down totally just, torpedoed their season.
Game 1.
Yeah,
in the first half.
That torpedoed their season very quickly. So I think with all of that, I don't feel like they're the worst division next year like they were. This year they were just a dumpster fire.
Oh my goodness, they were an absolute dumpster fire. To expound upon yours real quick, if it's not the NFC East as the weakest division, which I actually agree with you, I actually think all those teams have a lot of potential. Which one do you think will be the worst division?
It looks it's either gonna. I'm looking at the AFC South as being one of the worst ones. I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
you got the
Deshaun
Colt.
on the move.
You got. I mean, the Jaguars. Like I said, that I think they're going to make the playoffs, but it's going to be in a really weakened AFC South.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Colts, who have Phillip Rivers just retired. I mean, they do have a great defense. If they can keep that defense uh, up to the par that they had this year, I think they'll be fine. But I just don't. I mean, you got the Titans in there, but I I just don't think that. And I'm blanking on that quarterback's name, who was at the Dolphins. No,
Oh,
at the Titans.
Ryan Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill. I don't think Ryan Tannehill's the answer that they thought he was. I know a lot of Dolphins fans think the same way. He's good enough to get you into the playoffs, but that's about it. I think Derrick Henry is going to continue what he's doing, but as they showed in their playoff game with the Ravens, if any team can shut down Derrick Henry, they have nothing on offense.
Yeah, I mean they definitely need that punch in the running game. They do not do well without that 1-2 combo. Where we saw the two teams in the Super Bowl, both teams can have a pretty lousy rushing day and win.
Yeah,
that's today's NFL. But it's obviously more effective if you can run the ball very well because Tampa Bay.
yeah. You got to be more balanced. I mean, you look at Buffalo. Buffalo had a great passing game, and Josh Allen was great at scrambling when he didn't have anything and could get downfield, but no team ever respected their run game because they didn't have one.
Mm-hmm.
And
the flip side of that coin is the Ravens.
The Ravens, exactly.
Game and can't really stretch the field because a bit limited in the pass game right now.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the AFC South as probably being the worst division next year.
I would argue the NFC South. I think that they will have one really good team, top heavy, and then three very average teams.
That was going to be I was thinking them, but they, like you said, I think Tampa Bay is going to definitely take that one. You got the Saints, who are looking for another quarterback. Yeah. I don't think Drew Brees officially said he's retiring.
He has not, but I mean, it's all but signed on the dotted line.
Yeah, and you have the Falcons, who have done nothing since they went to the Super Bowl. Honestly, I think it's time for Matt Ryan to go. Julio Jones is getting up there in age. He's still a dominant player.
Like completely overhauling at the top. I mean, the Falcons are starting to rebuild right now.
Yeah.
But it sucks for Julio Jones because he is one of the most dominant receivers that the NFL has ever seen. And he's never at least he went to the big stage.
Yeah.
He went to the dance.
Yep. And honestly, maybe even looking for him to do some things of, hey, I want to go to a team that's going to win.
Could be. Could be. I mean, I don't know what his contract details are at all, but it wouldn't surprise me on the twilight of his career, which, might not be 2021, but maybe 2022, 2023. He's like, hey, he kind of does a J.J. Watt, like, cut me, like, and I'll go play for a vet minimum. I've made my money. I don't know. He is a very quiet and understated guy. But he has been one of the league's most dominant receivers in the history.
Yep. And you look at the Panthers, I mean, they've just ever since, they went to the Super Bowl as well, they've just been just totally underwhelming. I would say my only thing of not saying them as being the worst division is because at least they do have Tampa Bay, whereas the AFC South. I mean, I think the Jaguars do come out in that one, but it's going to be kind of like Washington did this year,
Yeah,
coming out of the NFC East.
I understand that. Well, the reason I can't say AFC South is because I've got a feeling that the Colts are going to land a quarterback, and I don't know who, and I don't know how. I don't think they're going to get Deshaun Watson because I don't think that the Texans will trade interdivisional. But I think that they're going to get somebody. And that's really the only piece that they need, because otherwise they are a complete team. Their defense is really good. Their offensive line is, I think, probably the best in the NFL. T.Y. Hilton is a little bit on the fence in his free agency, I believe. But if he comes back, then you got Pascal. And then their run game. I mean, their run game is absolutely off the charts this year because their offensive line is incredible, and they have three running backs that I think could start for a lot of teams. And Matt got hurt early, but he was having a hell of a season before he got hurt. So I think the Texans will be garbage.
The Texans are a dumpster fire right now. The Texans are a Cleveland Browns of old level dumpster fire right now.
Absolutely. Like I cannot see anything like any other way around that the Texans are going to be bad. But I can see the Colts, the Jags, and the Titans all being fairly solid teams, which is crazy that I put the Jags in there. But I have already said my hot take about Trevor Lawrence, which third hot take, I've got one for my Rams, and I really don't want to curse them, so I'm going to knock on some wood right now. I think that Robert Woods is the leading receiver in the NFL next year.
All right. Honestly, I don't see that much as a hot take. Finally got somebody that could throw him the ball. He still got his Cooper Kupp staying.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp's there.
You still got Cooper Kupp there. You got Robert Woods, who has shown great potential, just had nobody to give him the ball. So I think that's a fairly solid take. Now
he's not the athlete that generally the leading receivers, he does not take the top off the defense. He's not a speedster, but he's tough and he's gritty. He's like an Anquan Bolton.
Yeah. I see that comparison. That actually is a pretty good comparison. So my third hot take is the Steelers make it to the AFC Championship game. Ben Roethlisberger has already talked. Even before I think the Super Bowl talk, he will take a pay cut to get weapons in. I think he's desperate now. He wants to get that last Super Bowl.
I see it. I mean, him apologizing to Marquise Pouncey after their retirement. The both Pouncey brothers. Obviously, he didn't play with Mike.
Maybe.
But yeah, him apologizing to Marquise, like, I really wanted this to be our year. Like, I wanted to get one with you. I think he's highly motivated. I agree with you. I don't know how hot of a take that is. I think I mean, people forget because they stumbled so hard down the stretch the last third of the season. Mm-hmm. And they started 11-0.
Yeah.
I mean, now they've got to look at contracts like Juju Smith-Schuster, I think, is a free agent. But he wasn't that effective this year.
He really wasn't. I mean, Claypool really stepped it up for them this year. And I think when James Conner got hurt was when that whole thing just kind of
started to come
off.
Yeah.
I thought Benny Snell, watching him at Kentucky, I thought he was going to, be able to kind of come in and be that guy and be that James Conner replacement, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was just they just didn't have enough, trust in him, to think he would do that or what it was, but it was, night and day when Connor got in between him and um, Snell.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I I thought Snell was a star,
Yeah,
and yeah, watching him with the Steelers, he's he's super duper second fiddle to Connor, who also looked super duper second fiddle to Le'Veon Bell until
yeah,
he got the bulk of the load, and then he was like, okay, well, there's not that much of a drop. He's not nearly as dynamic as Le'Veon Bell was at the height of Le'Veon Bell, but he's still incredibly solid. And Snell is incredibly shaky.
yeah,
There's a big difference between Connor lining up and Snell lining up. I hope that Snell gets it together. I really like him. I don't know why. I've got an affinity for Kentucky athletes.
yeah. They go through a lot. Oh man. But yeah, I think he gets the pieces in, and like you said, if JJ goes there as well, their defense is already good.
Yeah, I mean, TJ Watt. He was this close to winning Defensive Player of the Year. Unfortunately for him, Defensive Player of the Year lives in Los Angeles forever.
Yep.
But no, TJ Watt and JJ Watt playing together would be a nightmare. I
Yeah.
mean, I know that JJ is I think he's 31, turning 32 before the next season right now. So he's exactly our age. And he's an old 32. He's dealt with a lot of injuries.
Yep.
But he still led the Texans in sacks with 5, which isn't a lot. But if he actually had help,
Mm-hmm.
say, his brother TJ,
Yeah.
and if the Steelers could also get Bud Dupree back, I mean, if he had help, if he was not the only guy doing it, I think he's still a monster. I mean, I think that he still has 3 or 4 more good years under his belt.
All right. I really do think he does too, and like you said, him not having to do all the work is going to help him out health wise. He's not
Mm.
going to have to sacrifice himself and his body as much because he knows, hey, I've got TJ behind me. We got other players that can do this as well.
Well, and
I'm
then if
not.
we get off the field, we've got old Derek playing fullback.
Yep. Well, all righty. That was all my hot takes. You got any more?
No, that's all I got.
All righty. Well, this has been a great show. Um, like I said at the beginning, you want to get a part of our March Madness Bracket Challenge. Description down below. Uh, just watch that video and find out how to get in. And yeah, another great show. Thank you, Phoenix Animation, for being out here
Absolutely.
and hanging out. Hope to get you back on pretty soon. Talk some more hockey, especially once we start watching more. Because
Yeah.
I've definitely been bitten by the hockey bug. I'm all in.
I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. After that show, like I got all jazzed up, but some scheduling conflicts for me to watch it. Hell, I might pop on the replays right after we get off here.
Yep. I got some replays I need to watch as well. But anyway, great show, and we're gonna see y'all guys next time.
See you.